Well, it's a pretty big day here for the farm pond, trout pond. Well, so far it's only been a bass pond. We got rid of 70 bass. Well, I'm gonna say 71 bass because Mark actually was able to catch the big 14-inch bass that's been lurking around. We dug out a pile of gravel, expanded the pond. We're headed over to Lyndon Trout Hatchery right now. We're actually getting our trout this morning. Before we grab our trout, I want to show you guys. Look at the pile of gravel we dug out of here. Huge mound of gravel I'm standing on here right now. So we expanded the pond, this whole section here. So now the pond is probably about an acre in size. I don't know how many fish we're getting, but we're gonna go find out. Clarke over at Lyndon Trout Hatchery, he's gonna load us up with our stock. I'm hoping it's in the hundreds. And I think he's got a surprise for us. He's gonna throw in something extra. So I'm excited about it, and I need your help with it too. So you guys are gonna play a little bit of a role here. I need your help with this whole thing. All right, let's zip over to the hatchery and we'll meet up with Clarke.
How you guys doing?
Good, you?
How are you?
Bad?
Good.
Here's your 30 pounds of fishes.
Whoa, yeah. A lot of fish.
Yes, sir. They just got picked up yesterday at around 11, so pretty much as fresh as they can get. Not quite as fresh as the pond.
Yeah.
All right, guys, here we are at the Lyndon Trout Farm, Trout Hatchery, Trout Pond. You guys want to come out and fish, you can fish anytime you want. Well, almost anytime you want. Check out the website. I'll link that down below. The rules are simple. You don't need anything. You don't need a rod. You don't need a reel. You don't need, well, obviously bring them if you have them. You don't need bait. They supply everything. So you can basically drive here, park, and you can be set up fishing in no time at all. The rules, you keep what you catch and you only pay for what you keep. And let me tell you what, whew, there's a fish right there. The fishing here is as simple as tossing in a line. This is accessible to absolutely everybody. Just outside of Kitchener, Ontario, near New Dundee. Easy drive from Toronto. Guys, come out here, support these guys supporting us.
Just gonna have some variety so that you'll have catchable fish this fall as well as some next spring.
What size are those guys?
There's some that are gonna be 6 inches, but most of them are around 10 or 12. As you'll see, the water in the tank is really clean. This is from our spring water system. So the vast majority of our hatchery is on spring water, so it's all pristine conditions. This water here, it's based on the environment. So if we have a heavy rain, just the same as what will happen in your pond, it will get cloudy sometimes, but that only just takes a couple days to clear up for that new water to turn over or for the cloudiness in the water to settle to the bottom. So if you see a little bit of dirty water, it's not a concern, only if that's an ongoing issue.
So we're gonna grab a couple bigger ones here. We need your help with these ones. You're gonna, maybe not these ones. These aren't super big, but they're pretty big. You get some big ones, you guys can help name them. Oh, there's some lunkers. Nice.
Now we're gonna go down and grab some of the big boys.
We got some serious size on those ones. I wasn't expecting those ones. Those ones we're not gonna name because there's a lot of them and they're kind of the mid-range. What we've got so far, we've got a good age structure or size structure, but there's some 6 inches, some 4 inch, there's some 8, 9, 10 inch, and then there's those ones. I don't even know those. They're probably about 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds. These ones over here are the ones we're gonna get you to name. They're bigger, so we're gonna keep an eye on them, see how well they do. We're hoping they don't eat the other fish. they might if they get really hungry. Maybe they'll pick off some of the bass that we have left over. These are the spawners. Go back to the other episodes, you'll see we featured these before. These are hefty fish, hefty fish. So you guys are gonna put down a name for these fish. We're gonna get 2 or 3. Clarke's gonna decide here kind of impulsively, 2 or 3. I've got a name in mind. At the end, I'll present to you my name, but I give you guys a chance to name these fish. So these are the spawners. I think we're looking at some, there's males and females in here, and they use these to replenish the hatchery at the end of the year. So we're about to grab some here right now.
This is the first one.
All right, so fish number 1, you guys give this one a name. Here comes fish number 2. Obviously we're gonna have a hard time figuring out which fish is which. That one's probably a little bit smaller. Okay, fish number 2, you guys name that guy?
Oh, he got away.
Oh, he doesn't want to get a new home. He's gonna get a better home than this, I think. A little bit more space to play around with. Oh, that's a big one. Oh, that's Big Daddy. That's Big Daddy. So you guys named Big Daddy. We can keep track of this guy for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get him in the water. Oh yeah, he's a big guy. That's the big guy.
The big ones are on this side.
I think I'm gonna put dibs on naming the big guy. You guys can name the other 2. I got a really good name. A really good name for number 2. I haven't even told Clark what the name is, but I think he's gonna have a chuckle. Maybe on the drive over we'll talk about it. See if he approves or disapproves of it. I think it's hilarious. You guys are gonna think it's funny too.
That should be around 150 or 200 fish, which will be a really good start for the ecosystem at your pond. You're gonna be able to watch over this summer and the fall to see if you want to add more or not, but it's always good to start small and build your way up, as with any ecosystem that you're managing. Always make sure that you're doing it responsibly, but you got some good fishing ahead of you this summer.
Like there's a massive one right here. Look at it.
Yeah? We gotta save that guy
Yeah.
for later.
They're massive.
They're massive. There's 3 big ones, there's a bunch of medium-sized ones, and there's a bunch of like kind of different sized ones, right? There's like 6 inches all the way up to 10. There's a bunch of feed here. If you guys are setting up your own pond, you can actually buy feed from Clarke. And not only feed, but you can also buy the fish. So if you're stocking, this is the place to go. Right from catching the fish at the pond to stocking your own pond, Linden's is the place to go.
So this is the nutrition information. It's a significant amount of protein. Blue Water Feed Company is actually an Ontario feed mill, so we like keeping our money local if we can. Other feed that we buy is from the East Coast. But it's 48% protein and 18% fat, so incredibly high energy. So these fish, just as in the wild, they're eating mostly protein. They're eating mostly other fish, frogs, things like that. This diet has been really focused on as far as from a research and development perspective to make sure that I as a hatchery get the best value and growth for my dollar. So for a pond scenario, this would be ideal as well. You can get sinking feed or floating feed. Floating feed's nicer because you make sure you don't have as much waste and you can actually see the fish coming up, and it's more entertaining to watch. But a sinking feed is typically a higher nutrient value, and it can go down to the fish if they're not as aggressive. So both have kind of pros and cons. Mostly I recommend floating feed just because it's more entertaining for the kids and the pond owner to watch. But the best value would be a sinking feed.
All right, here we go. Get to ride along. How many people get to ride along with an official trout? What do you call yourself? Troutsman? Trout,
you know.
trout dude, trout hatchery guy?
Trout specialist.
There you go, trout specialist. All right, let's rock it. We're just trying to figure out where to put them in. I think Clark's gonna get down to the other end of the pond here, and we're gonna be able to dump them in over here. It's a little shallower, a little bit easier to access, and we don't have to hoof them. We don't want to hoof them, we don't have to. Got all the Gowdy kids out here messing around with ATVs, fishing, trying to get rid of the rest of the bass. That's the last little bit of fishing that they're going to be able to do, because we're going to have to let these fish get a little bit bigger. So they're still going to swim out here, they're going to have fun. That's what the pond's all about, right? Having fun.
See that guy?
Yeah, big guy? That's a big guy.
Huge.
Big ones in there.
Oh, guys.
That's the one they're naming.
There's a big one.
So this is some of the feed that we're dropping off. So one of the fish already ate a bug that was on the surface, so right away they're going to start eating feed that's in the pond itself. But this is just because they've been fed with this all of their life cycle up until now. You just want to make sure that they have adequate nutrition while they're getting used to eating a live feed like they would in nature.
How long should we wait before we feed them?
Usually it's about a day and a half, just to let them get adjusted, and then you can start feeding them. They will get trained to eat in the same spot if you want, or you can just spread the feed all over the surface of your pond and feed them at various different points. It depends on what you want, but they will come to the same spot if you feed them there every single day.
All right, so fish are in. That's the good news.
It's true. We got them in there. We got some fish swimming around. Some are already starting to feed on some of the plants, but also the bugs on the surface. So that's a really good sign.
So obviously what I'm concerned is with moving forward, we've obviously got quite a bit of algae. You're saying it doesn't matter? We shouldn't worry about the algae, or?
It depends. Most of the algae is a perception issue, so it's not it obviously depends on how much you have growing in your pond, but it's actually healthy to have some natural cover. So it's good to have some algae in that pond just so that the fish aren't totally in the sunlight all the time. Natural, just a natural fright or defense mechanism would be to stay under a cover of some sort. So if you don't have a lot of seaweed or trees or anything that are right around your pond to provide cover, algae actually can be a really nice natural substitute. If you have a major bloom, then when that bloom actually starts dying off, it can consume a lot of the oxygen in the pond. That's the only time that you really have to be concerned about it.
Okay, and then the water quality too, we're looking at temperature is probably a big thing to do with trout. You're saying we're okay right now at about, I think, 12 degrees. It becomes a problem at 24 is when, and that's, just to clarify that, it can be 24 at the surface, but they need to be able to find a water source that is lower than 20 degrees ideally. Okay.
At the bottom of your pond is typically where they'll go if it's really, really sunny, hot. They'll go down there so that they're able to be in a more relaxed state.
Okay.
But if you have a very shallow pond, then you should be aware of what that temperature is at the bottom of your pond is really the most important number.
Okay, so right now we're okay, but we should keep an eye on things. Is there anything we can do to fix it if it gets warmer? Shade and things like that? I mean,
you can, there are some things that you can do just with natural shade, but putting a cover on it is actually probably a negative thing. You see that in the pool industry where they actually have a cover, a solar cover, and that heats it up. So there's not a lot that you can do. It's basically your ecosystem can handle rainbow trout or it can't. Sure. That's basically the only way.
So if we completely screw up this year, we basically have to dig deeper next year. So you guys have to stick around and find out if we're successful at doing this year.
No, and there's lots of ways that you can manage it, especially in a gravel source like this. The deeper you go, the more groundwater you're going to get in there, which is definitely going to be a value for your pond. Okay, good. All right, so stick around, guys. Have you guys named the fish yet? If you haven't named the fish, give them a name. The name I'm going to give the fish, that big fish, is, see if you like this. So you guys know Superman, right? Yeah. Clarke. Yeah, it's true. So you probably get, you know, called Superman every once in a while, right? Clarke. So this is a spawning fish, and a spawning fish, when it's done, it's called spent, right? It's true. So I'm going to call the fish Clarke Spent. What do you think of that? That's super clever. I like it. I like it. So Clarke Spent's got a new home. We'll see if he makes it. Hopefully he makes it to the dinner table. That's the idea. And you guys get to name the other two fish, unless you can come up with 3 names that are better than my name. But I think my name's the best. It sounds pretty rocking. It looks pretty good. All right, guys, drop your names down below. We're gonna go do a fish fry and enjoy some of the fish, so you guys can look forward to what we get to do in a year from now. Except these are fish that we bought from Clarke, so we're gonna fry them up. Mark's got the deep fryer going, and we're gonna jump in. If you can stick around if you want to. I know this is your weekend. Yep. So you can have a bite to eat, or you can jet out, but we do thank you for your support. You guys check out Lyndon Trout Hatcheries. I do stocking, and you can go fish the pond, right? It's true. Yeah, Linden Fishing Pond is where we do the fishing, and then Linden Fish Hatcheries is where we raise about 4 million fish a year. So lots going on. Lots going on. So stick around, guys. You just got Trevor just showed up. You guys remember from a couple episodes back, he's the one that dug the pond. He's coming to have a look, and we're looking at this big, massive trout swimming around. I don't know if you guys are going to see it on camera, but that's Clarke Spent. He's the big guy. Clarke Spent. Amazing. He's a big monster, isn't he? I just watched Jaws the other night. I think I just seen one. We've got some hot oil going. Mark's got a deep fryer fired up. So we're just gonna drop the fillets in there. They're boneless. You guys can buy boneless fillets right from Linden. Like, you can go there, you can fish a little secret trout hole, drop your line in there, catch a fish. They'll give you fresh fish right there, or you could just buy it straight up. Boneless. We're just gonna fillet the rest of the skin off. You can eat the skin. I mean, it's not a problem, but for kids, sometimes they don't like the fishy stuff. Fillet them out, dip them with some fish crisp, and then hot oil. That's it. Pretty simple, and deep fryer. We're doing this on site, obviously, so that we can hang out in the beautiful weather. Finally, we got some nice hot weather. The kids are in the water swimming, and we're just gonna be hanging out. It's cold though. It's still early spring, and but they're tough. Kids are tough. We got the kids on algae duty, trying to see how much they could collect. And the one guy's collecting it in his shirt. There's a couple other kids are collecting it in a bucket and a paddle boat back there. I don't know if it matters. I think the tadpoles are gonna eat all the algae, but you guys let me know. Are they gonna eat the algae? Just rescued myself a piece. It's doesn't have the fish crisp on there, so it's gluten-free for me. Oh man, that's good. But this series is just starting, guys. We got a ton of work to do. It's not just put the fish in and we're done. We still gotta look at aeration. We have to monitor the water quality
and make sure there's enough oxygen and the temperatures are cold enough. We're going to be feeding the fish. We're also going to be checking into adding some natural habitat and then also natural food, because we don't want to be stuck feeding these fish for a very long period of time because it's costly. I'm looking forward to getting more trout like this. This is really what it's about. It's about the community that we're building, having the kids together, place to swim, place to enjoy, place to hang out, and place that we built. I'm gonna eat my fill, but if you guys watch this video all the way through, right, full stop,